Hangout is live with Paul and John, Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Investing number 189 on a Friday the 13th, everybody. Oh, scary, scary, scary.
It is. That is amazing. I love Friday the 13th because
I love Friday the 13th so much, I wore 13 on my back in high school football.
That's funny.
It was cool because my best friend on the team was he was number 31. So when we stood next to each other, we were either 31-13 or 13-31. And we stood next to each other a lot because we spent most of our time on the sideline. So that's what the crowd saw all the time, either 13-31 or 31-13.
Well, yes, welcome to the Hangout, sellahousearizona.com. It is Friday the 13th, which that's okay by me. I think it's a lucky day for me. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on. Paul and I do another Hangout prior to this. We got into some great conversation on that one. I don't know if Paul has something specific in mind for Freedom Friday. We certainly touched upon a lot of subjects that we can certainly go right back into. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. I do want to say that, we continue talking about throughout the week the How to Win Friends and Influence People book. And I kind of had an experience yesterday at the title company. I had to go in for a last minute closing. And it was one of these days, and this usually doesn't happen on a Thursday, where you think that you got all these closings lined up and everything's going smooth. And then it's like the universe, the title company, all of a sudden takes a big old monkey wrench and just throws that thing right into the middle of everything. And all of a sudden, this is popping up on a title and we can't close this because of the buyer. So, I played a lot of productive damage control yesterday. And the reason I bring this up is because knowing how to deal with people when they're getting really stressed out to the point of they're getting angry with you, they don't want to do business with you anymore. And this is real. And, due to things that are not your fault or your company's fault, like you just can't dictate what a title company will and will not do. For the most part, you have your choice of title companies. Apparently, if you're expected to circumvent the law to get a deal closed and you don't want to do that, somehow that reflects poorly on your business. But you know what? At the end of the day, your mental attitude to stay positive and kind of laugh these things off and allow people to vent their frustrations to you while keeping an internal smile in your head, biting your tongue to hold back the laughter at some of the ridiculousness of how angry people can get. But that's the difference between someone that's successful in business and really someone that is unsuccessful in your ability to negotiate all that. And it comes down to, these concepts of just, people are always thinking about what's in it for them. And when something is threatening them or threatening their paycheck, they could, a lot of people can get out of hand and unproductive. If people, to bring these concepts to light, if I could have let a lot of these deals just disappear yesterday, because I could have just said, okay, give those people reflect the same attitude back to them that they were giving to me. Instead, you could turn those angry people around by just being sympathetic and disagree while agreeing, saying no while your head's going like this. You know what I'm saying? Just having people skills. So just an interesting day we can catch up on later, but but a positive one because things happen and I was productive, but mainly because of the abilities to stay positive and deal with and manage people. It's really the key element. So that was kind of my idea for today's topic in the real estate. However, you actually brought up some interesting stuff on the last one, which I could certainly go that route with too. So,
well, I mean, obviously, what you're saying right there is you're your powerful learning and growth from our Monday. I'm sorry. What did I just say? From our new off day, from our new off day hangout. Like you said, from the trainings and education that we get out of the How to Win Friends and Influence People book came into full force yesterday and really turned around some people who were getting upset with us over something that was beyond our control. Was that kind of what happened there?
Yes.
Okay, so I kind of know probably both deals that you're talking about here. I'm going to say that the first one, I know that there was some unexpected issues of title that popped up, which are going to delay this closing. And so I'm sure that the person who we had contracted this property to sell to, who they themselves are, wholesaling it to somebody else and got themselves lined up for probably a couple $1,000 payday there. They're probably the ones that got upset, right? Probably not the end buyer, probably not the actual person that's getting the property. It's probably the middle person, correct?
Oh, they're very sad. They're very sad.
So
Yeah.
it's not even the person, like John just said, it's not even the person who's actually looking to acquire the property ultimately. It's the person in the middle that needs a payday. Probably, I'm guessing, probably needs, not just wants a payday, needs a payday and is expecting a payday. And now all of a sudden, money that they were counting on spending isn't going to be showing up because of something that we have no control over, which got them all upset with us. And so John's got to sit there and be like, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. That's how. Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. That's that. And then, like you said, and then kind of turn this whole thing into a laughing fest and get that person to come around and just be like, well. Ultimately, I'm sure that they came around and was just like, well, I guess there's nothing we can do but wait. Right?
Right. Interesting thing. I'll throw this in there about judgments. And Paul, you might know a little bit about this. Have a statute of limitations, about 5 years.
Oh.
So my thinking became yesterday was like, listen, there's a lot of things that went wrong here. Apparently, in Arizona, if you're a Mexican national and you have a Mexican passport as your only form of identification, you cannot sign documents in front of a U.S. notary unless you have a spouse that can be a credible witness to you that has some form of American identification, something issued in the United States.
Would that be acceptable if you went before the Mexican or American consulate?
It depends. If you're buying the property with all cash, they don't give a flying F who it is that you are. However, if you're getting a loan, any sort of closing that requires loan documents, therein is where to sign those loan documents in front of a notary, you have to have some sort of U.S. ID or have a credible witness that also has a U.S. ID.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if they went to the if they were to go to one of the consulates and sign the documents before them, would that be say a person wasn't married, say it was a single person, how are they going to do a spouse? Where would they go? Would them going before the Mexican or the American consulate and doing because I'm sure they have notaries there and signing their documents there, would that be a credible situation?
Well, that's what that's part of the to-dos today is to find out that answer. So, so this buyer can close. You see what I'm getting at?
Oh, yeah.
However, interesting thing about this is that the buyer, the person in the middle you referred to, like, understand, I've done every deal I do is this way. I do them with security. I do them at the same title agency, just at a different branch. So my first solution is like, well, call the manager at the other branch and have them talk to Eileen, because maybe our gal is misinformed or something like that. So before she called the other branch, she called Eileen to say, so-and-so at the other branch does this for me, yada, 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 yada. Long story short, Eileen, being a branch manager and someone very high up, is not at all happy that this person apparently has been breaking the law for years, doing this, notarizing these things. And something huge may have been set in motion yesterday with this particular person, which happens to have a connection to the Latino buying community, and could be a very good source of properties. However, she told me 90% of their buyers don't have any U.S. ID, Mexican passports only. So I don't know how she's been closing deals all these years. So she's wanting to move title companies. I'm not sure that I want to pull it from my gal and piss them off. So I'm trying to keep that woman happy and keep their buyer on board and find an answer like you said. Obviously, there's some loophole somewhere, because I really doubt seriously that all these other title companies are breaking Arizona law. I just can't buy it. So there's got to be something that our agent maybe doesn't know, or some way of getting it done. But then in comes the next little piece of the puzzle, and the fact that we get into judgments have a shelf life. So my thought is, if we close this property on December 31st, according to title, we don't have to go through yes, it delays it, but right now now have a problem with getting the payoff for the judgment, because the guy lives in Mexico and does not want to come back to sign any sort of documents, and the judgment holder will not release anything to us without this guy's signature. So it's probably going to be, we probably can't sell the property till January, which in that case is fine by me, because it sits another month and we don't have to pay a $7,000 judgment. But it was playing damage control with these different people, and it's like, John, you lied to me. You said this was a clean title and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, things pop up all the time. If you're a legitimate person that has as much experience as you're claiming to have, didn't say it exactly like that, you would know that unexpected things pop up on title. So it was just a weird day on that deal. Just all these different things about, are we breaking the law? Quite frankly, I don't care if that guy has cash, I'll sell to anybody. I do not care. I don't see why anybody should care. If someone's showing up to the table with cash and a lender's willing to lend it to them, close my transaction, please. So I will find a title company today that will.
So he's got cash, but it is financed cash.
Hard money.
Right.
Yes.
So,
and that's where the problem is with the not having a U.S. any form of U.S. identification.
Huh. But isn't that wouldn't that be the lender's concern?
You would think so, but according to Gayla, or the assistant to the escrow officer, Eileen, I'm going to call Eileen this morning just to find out. But according to her, it's not really illegal for any other reason other than the notary isn't allowed to notarize that signature. It's against the law for a notary to notarize that signature. So that's the issue, not the title not wanting to close or the lender not wanting to lend and everything else. It comes down to the person that's in their office. They are not going to let them notarize the signature because it's illegal for the notary to notarize that signature. That's
because they don't have, there's no U.S. identification whatsoever. So they're not identified here in this country. So the notary can't validate that. That's kind of interesting. Now, just another thought here, and this is probably also invalid as well too. Documents with Mexican identification and documents signed and notarized by a Mexican notary probably are not valid here in the States either, are they?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
because this particular property, we're talking about, we bought from someone living in Mexico who literally drove up to the U.S. border and signed in front of a notary, a U.S. notary. Brought it, and he must have had the proper identification, and a U.S. notary signed him. In exchange, we did that in exchange for $2,000.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not like we could go back down there and have go across the border into Mexico to a notary and have him sign these documents and then bring them back. Like I said, the Mexican notary would not fly through the title company either.
Nope.
Yeah. That's funny.
That actually, any foreign notary doesn't fly through a U.S. title company.
Yeah,
so they would have, anywhere in the world where you want to buy U.S. Real estate, you would have to go into a American embassy or something that would have an American notary in there to have them verify you.
That's the next thing I was saying. There's a lot of people from other countries that are buying property here in the United States. How are they getting it done? If they, I'm sure not everybody that's living outside this country buying property in the United States is going to come here and get a U.S. freaking, form of identification just so they can buy a property. So what is it that they're doing? It's got to be something to do with the consulate, I think.
Yep. Well, here's the deal too: is if you have cash, you can sign that thing Mickey Mouse. They don't give a crap if you have cash. It's only when you have to sign documents that have to be notarized. In this case of this deal alone.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now that makes sense too. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a very interesting little application of the principles of how to think, how to win friends and influence people, to take all of those angles of anger and and settle them down and put them back into play and keep everybody on board with the deal, and just let it be known that, hey, things happen and it's going to work out, and we'll figure out a way to get this done because that's what we do. And yeah, that's very, 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 very awesome.
And there was a few other issues with a couple people yesterday about, we're marketing 2 properties and someone wanted to buy both, and we promised them one and they didn't get the other and they were upset. However, the 2 properties were also being marketed by someone else on our team who promised the same one that I promised to their buyer, and in exchange to keep them happy, gave them the other property. So everyone should have been happy. The person we promised, 2 people were promised the same property. One of those 2 people got the property. The other person got the other property and was happy at the end of the day because they still got the other property and were like, all right, cool, I still got that other property. However, one of the people that got what they wanted, but they didn't get the other one too, that was never promised to them, was still upset that they didn't get both. And I overcame that one too, to where I was getting compliments, and I really love working with your team. And when I get to talk to you, it's such a great experience, and you're such a great person, yada, yada, yada. They really stroked my ego by the end of it, because at first I was a big piece of shit.
That's awesome. Turning the blame and complaint into the praise and admiration.
In praise and worship.
So, okay, well, I definitely see an issue there. Stop promising people properties. Yeah.
Well, I will just say we're training a new assistant that doesn't know when to zip his lips.
Well, yeah, that's that discussion before. Sometimes, and here's a very good point for you guys out there. Sometimes less is more. Okay, that's very, very, very key piece to your puzzle right there, and that applies to all sides of your dealings with people. Sometimes less information is more. Just one little extra piece can set in motion something that you didn't anticipate. You know what I mean? So sometimes just giving, just the right amount of information that a person needs to, you know, take the proper action to do what it is that you want to get them to, that you want them to do, is far more than feeding them all of this other information, where now they've got, you know, other ideas in their head that you sparked by giving them this other information that they never would have thought of, or they never would have had otherwise. So yeah, many times in your dealings, you need to know when to shut up.
And you know, I'm one of those people that feel like you should never overcommit. You should underpromise and overdeliver. You know, make some promises with people, but don't give them the moon, for crying out loud. I'm giving them the moon, but don't promise them the moon. You know what I mean? Promise them a little asteroid between here and the moon, and then end up giving them the moon. You know, that was another issue that I was dealing with yesterday. Is so and so said this when and it's like, well, let me let you know that so and so is a great guy, and he's new. And I'm working with him and training him. And I'm sorry, so and so said this to you, but I'm not going to.
Doesn't know when to stop.
Yeah, I'm not going to deliver on so and so's promises. I'm sorry. I'm going to throw. Not that I threw so and so under the bus, because at the end of the day, so and so, well, he is such a nice guy, and I understand he's new, and you know he has a lot of potential. Blah 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 blah. So they love so and so too.
This is a great subject, because you know what I mean. Well, you know, the secret to your success in wholesale real estate comes down to your ability to negotiate with people in all aspects, not just in negotiating to get a contract, in negotiating to freaking sell a property, obviously, in negotiating to resolve a problem, and in negotiating with all aspects of everything that goes along with, you know, finding a deal to closing a deal. And there's a lot that can go in there. Now, for, you know, many deals, and what most people deal with in wholesale real estate is, you know, pretty clean, cut and dry, you know, no hassles, no title issues, kind of properties. And, you know, if your business model is just strictly wholesaling, obviously, you know, you get a property under contract and you're going straight to marketing it, and, you know, you get a buyer at your price and you lock them up and you're done. And you don't end up having some of these issues. But when you might get to the next level, and this is kind of where we're talking about here, is sort of the next level play in wholesale real estate, is where, you know, you're getting to the point where you yourself, you know, may want to be doing something with some of your own deals. And so now you have to make a decision. You know, you have to decide, when you get a property, well, what am I going to do with this property? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to do something with it, et cetera, and so on? And of course, if by this point in time, it's very quite likely that, you know, you may have built somewhat of a team, at least an assistant or a couple of assistants. And so it's very, very important that, you know, your ability to negotiate and or teach and train your assistants properly to be doing what it is that you want them to do and how you want them to do it. All of these things can come into play to, you know, create some havoc, throw a monkey wrench into the plan, when things, you know, are again, you know, maybe too much information is given out, or, you know, something was misspoken, you know. And so it's the communication in wholesale real estate at all levels, you know, really comes into play, probably more than many businesses. You know, I mean, relationships in any business is a key element, of course, and being able to cultivate and nurture relationships, you know, in any business is obviously a key element. But in wholesale real estate, you're continually dealing with a new person, you know, in a seller, and quite possibly, you know, continually dealing with a new person in a buyer, and quite possibly continually dealing with new people in your organization. And I mean, when I mean new people, I mean people that you didn't know before, and or people that don't know anything about what's going on, that you have to teach and train. So, you know, whereas in other businesses, you know, basically you've kind of probably have, once you get established, you kind of have a certain circle, a certain set of people that you continually do business with. Whereas this is an ever-changing, each and every time, each new deal is different and unique, and different people are involved. And that's why your skills in dealing with people in this business are really the key element to your success.
Completely. Your people skills is a key element to your success in this business. There's no doubt. This is a great to me, a great topic here to always talk about. And I love being able to come on these hangouts and share real life examples of how these concepts that we talk about, how these mindset, personal development, dealing with people concepts, how we can really apply these in real life. And it's awesome to have the opportunity to come on here and be able to share with people real life experiences and real life stories about how we're applying this stuff to show you that this stuff is real and it works and it brings successful results. Because your key to success in business is your ability to get people to do what you need to get done, to get people to do what you want them to do. There's an art, there's a magic to it. One of the great steel magnate, Andrew Carnegie, I forget the guy's name that was his assistant. And at the time, he was paying this guy something like $1 million a year, which back in like the early, what's that?
Charles Schwab.
Charles Schwab. There you go. Charles Schwab, $1 million a year. And at that time, $1 million a year would be equivalent to like what, $1 billion now in today's money? We're talking about 100 years ago. 100 plus years ago. And he was asked in an interview, like, how do you justify paying one man $1 million a year? And he's like, I don't like, what is, he's like, well, what does he know that you pay him for? He's like, well, it's not what he knows. It's what his ability is in getting people to do things, what he can get other men to do. His ability to get men to lead other men was worth probably more than $1 million a year to Andrew Carnegie. And that's basically
he probably thought he was getting a bargain on that one.
Yeah. And that's basically the overall message, in today's hangout is you've got to learn the skills necessary to interact successfully with people, influence them, win their favor, win them to your way of thinking. It's important no matter what your profession is, what level of success you want to reach in your life, or what your definite major purpose is in life. If you're going to achieve something, you're going to have to get the cooperation of other people and your ability to be a leader and to win their favor. And that's critical to success and critical to wholesaling. So with that, that's kind of my final summation. So I'm going to toss it back over to you, Paul, to kind of close us out here. It's right at the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah. I mean, that's, excuse me. That's pretty much it right there is your negotiating skills. And that is kind of why with our PropertyNoodler system, that's where we start people out. Instead of, giving everybody the tools and saying, good luck, go figure that part out yourself. We start you out right in that place. So you can know right away, am I the kind of person that can get good at this or am good at this? Is this an area in my life that turns me on, that gets me excited, that I want to expand and learn and grow and figure out how to do? Because, why waste your time running around learning a bunch of how to do things when the key element is never taught to you? And then all of a sudden, when you really actually start doing it, you realize the key element is something that you despise. All that time has been wasted. So we don't want to waste your time. We want to put you right in, throw you right into the fire and see if you're going to sizzle or see if, if it's, it's the right thing for you or not. Because, this business isn't the right thing for everybody, because not everybody wants to deal with people. And not everybody wants to have, build their communication skills and be able to do that with other people. So That's just a plug for the PropertyNoodlers@gmail.com, which you can see right there. And, you know, it's not just for interested in joining our team, but, you know, hey, we just like connecting with people. Send us an email about anything, anytime. We'd be more than happy to share whatever it is we can share with you. And with that, oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. And everybody, go out and make it a fantastic pinnacle, climax, celebration, whatever you want to call it. Just don't make it a week ending to a fantabulous 5 days. All right, we'll see you back on New Update, everybody.